Hello everybody and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program video. Today we have a first part of our evolution of SpaceX video series. This is SpaceX's Falcon 1 rocket. Falcon 1 had several flights in the beginning of SpaceX's history. This is the first rocket SpaceX had ever made. Here you can see it is just taking off. And you can have there's a beautiful plume behind the engines. So the Falcon 1 was run off of a Merlin engine on the bottom stage and one Kestrel engine, which is a pressure-fed engine, on the upper stage. So the Merlin first had an ablative nozzle, which basically meant they had a heat shield in the nozzle of the rocket engine, but then they later switched to an ablative design. So the Falcon 1 had 3 failed flights before the first failed flight, and 3 failed flights before the first successful flight. The first successful flight was on some date. I don't remember which date it was. First successful flight. Let's just skip the date. Come on, Everson. Get your stuff together. But here you can see we are starting our gravity turn. We are about 15,000 kilometers. And here I just decided to take the rocket for a spin because why not? No, actually it didn't have much control and it was kind of touchy. You can see the rocket is still ascending. We're getting close to being out of fuel in that first stage. I'm using a mod called Tundra for this SpaceX series. It adds Falcon 9, Falcon 1, Falcon Heavy, Starship, and all those things. It is very, very fun to use. So now we are starting to use our gravity turn even a bit more. Me just trying to fight with that, trying to get it to the correct orientation. As you can see, we are almost out of fuel in the first stage. And I decided apparently to take it for another spin again. I don't know what I was trying to do. We have our first stage cut off. And then separation, and then Kestrel engine startup. So the Kestrel engine was actually a pressure-fed engine. On one of the flights of the Falcon 1, there was a crack in the engine bell, and someone actually had to cut off pieces of the engine bell to make it so it would work, and they didn't have to scrap the whole mission. Kestrel engine was so big it almost didn't fit within the inner stage, which is the point between the first stage and the second stage where the engine resides. There, fairing deployment. As you can see, we have our beautiful little tiny satellite over here. It's just a bunch of solar panels with a communications antenna. We are doing our hopefully orbital insertion burn right here. We're at about 110 kilometers. And this is, you can see the sun behind us there. SpaceX, if the fourth Falcon 1 flight wouldn't have gone correctly, SpaceX would have basically not been able to do what it's doing today. here I'm just messing with engine plume stuff to see if I can make it look even cooler, although it is cool. I am using waterfall for the engine plumes. So here I'm just trying to lower my apoapsis, which is my highest point because I had it way too high. We have about half of fuel depleted in that first stage. That we have main engine, we have second stage engine cut off, so SECO. And here I am creating a maneuver node for our second burn to get ourselves into an orbit. So there we go, we have our correct maneuver node. Just doing it so we can circularize in one burn right there. So that burn is going to take 1010.9 meters per second. About 57 seconds. So that is coming up here in just a second. Here I was looking at the configurations for the payload deployer. Very confuzzled about that, and here we are about to do a second engine startup. Right now, we have second engine startup. Yeah, so that means our rocket is starting to put itself into an orbit. Here in a second, I should start time warping to get myself into a better, just so it doesn't take as long. So I have about 49 seconds left of my burn. Here we go. There is my time warping. So you can see our timer is going down much faster. And our periapsis is almost going to break out of the atmosphere. 200,000. We have about 100 meters per second left. We're out of our time warp. We have 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, and then we just need to do a kick burn, circularization. There we go. We have it perfectly in orbit. And here we should have payload deployment. So this is just, like I said, this is just a fun satellite. Here I was just doing spinnies with it. And then I pointed it down to Earth for Kerbin for its, so it can communicate with things. So here we go, 3, 2, 1, and we are starting to do our deorbit burn. Normally this booster would stay in orbit for several days because it would not be very far away from the rocket, but I just like to do the deorbit burns right then. We're not going to show the whole re-entry and landing, but here should be the end of the video. Here in about a couple seconds. Thank you guys for watching. This is part 1 of 4 or 5, and next week shall be the Falcon 9 Block 1 version 1. Thank you guys for watching. See ya.